I like beach music. I really do love that intro. I'm like, hi everybody, it's me, Bobby. I am back. Let me take my glasses off so we don't get a good glare going. Um, I am here with another episode of Behind the Cards. Today, I am joined by somebody I can't believe is joining me. I've been a fan of hers for a very long time, long before tarot entered the picture. Everybody, this is Sasha Graham. I'm sure you all recognize her. Sasha is an author, a lecturer, a teacher, a mentor, a guide, an actress, a tarot card reader. Oh my gosh, the list goes on and on. Um, Sasha, hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. I'm so excited to be here, Bobby. Thank you for having me on.
Thanks. I I'll tell you how this whole process of getting you on the channel came about. I was watching you on another show that I came to. You were doing an investigation of the Stanley Hotel. Um, and they're friends of mine, the channel you were on. I believe it was Ginger and Ramon was hosting that day.
Yep,
And
Ginger.
um, I, I turned it on and put it on the TV while I was doing my work, and I turned around and looked. I didn't see who the guest was, and I looked. I'm like, "Is that such? Is that Sasha Graham? That's Sasha Graham!" And I started freaking out. I'm a fanboy. You don't understand. Um, I was telling her before we came on stage. I keep the Darkwood Tarot next to me at all times.
Mhm.
This and the Chris Butler Tarot are mine. Speaking of Chris Butler, oh crud, I forgot about the glare. He sent me a picture of you.
He did?
Um, he did. He's a friend of mine, and it's one he did for the UK Tarot Convention, where he turned you into the Empress card.
Yes, yes.
I would show it on screen, but I can't. I'm on my tablet, and it doesn't allow me to screen share. Let's say hi to a couple people before we start. We've got Denise. Let's go down a little bit more.
Oh, hi.
Give and Heather. We'll be joined in and out. Trust me. Love it. Maruta. These are my favorite peoples in the whole world. Oh, and of course, Tarot Stash Gerald. How you doing, bro? Gerald has been instrumental in answering so many questions for me as I've gotten my channel started, and I appreciate him. Miss Sasha Graham has agreed to take the Fool's Journey with us today. And baffling decision, but I'm glad you did it. Um, okay, so what's going to happen? Oops, wrong one. What's going to happen is I'm going to ask questions. And the first question we have is about the Fool.
Okay.
Now, the Fool represents new beginnings, innocence, purity, and adventure. We all know this, but let me pull my notes up here. Where would you say the okay, which author or icon actress, and you host one of the coolest scary story shows, the Fireside Chats. That's what I wanted to bring up. I love the ghost stories on there. It's a great show.
Oh, thank you. We're
Um,
just working on our second season. So it's going, so a new season is coming very shortly.
I grew up in haunted house, and that's why it just gets me. You're a lot of things. What came first? Author, artist, actress,
That's a
spiritual
great
person?
question. Halloween came first because I'm a Halloween baby. And I've met a lot of other Halloween babies who aren't as into the spooky as I am. Um, but for me, it was a very defining in my personality. So I think that what came first for me as a very young child was that the kind of wild supernatural experiences that I had in nature when I was in nature in the woods alone as a kid, the same thing happened to me the first time I walked into a theater and saw a performance on stage. So it's not that one necessarily came before the other. It was that any transformative experience, which for me was usually through music or theater or dance or literature or movies, that's kind of the all-encompassing thing, I guess, if that makes sense. So
It does.
yeah, it all makes sense. Even the classes I teach, I try and create a very transformative, immersive experience, like my tarot decks, like the movies I make, and like Ghost Stories by the Fire. Yeah, so it's
I
all
have
really
to tell the crowd this was now that you mentioned movies. I said it backstage to Sasha. I used to work at video stores, and we had a cult following section. Polymorph was one of my picks that was always in the cult section, no matter what video store I worked at when I was younger. And I was telling her it had one of the best endings. If you guys haven't seen it, watch it until the end because it would make you go, what?
and it's streaming
Uh,
right now on Amazon. I was just on the Amazon. I was like Googling my or whatever. I was like searching myself up on Amazon to see, and Polymorph is there for a stream.
Really, I think I watched on Roku recently. But Polymorph is definitely just because that ending one of my favorites. And if you want to see Saucer running around like a badass, check it out.
Assassinating people, doing all sorts of
Assassinating people, being a little drug mule as she was. The Magician is our next card. It represents willpower, manifestation, creation, communication, and building something for those watching. Um, what he is the great manifester, but he is also the great communicator. Was it difficult telling those around you about your spiritual side, and when did you first start doing that?
Yeah, it was really hard. It was really hard to express that and even figure it out for myself. I think that it wasn't until as an actor, the first thing that I did out of high school was move to New York to become an actress. And as an actress, it's very easy to hide inside the characters that you're playing. And I never could have conceived of myself standing up in front of groups of people and just talking off the cuff. That seemed impossible to me. So it wasn't until I had published some books and started speaking about tarot that I kind of learned how to stand up in my own power and authenticity of the things that I knew. But I only knew those things or felt like I could share them because I had written books. So every time I write a book or write a tarot deck, it kind of shows me what I know, or it helps me figure out some question that I have that then I can speak about.
So it kind of defines yourself by your own work. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
What, speaking of your books, I keep one of those specifically in my collection at the office. 365 spells, tarot spells.
Mhm.
That is a phenomenal book. I think anybody who hasn't gotten it so far, you need to uh, get it. Let's see what chat is saying real quick. And I encourage, if you're watching this, thank you for posting Sasha's channel, Ange.
Mm.
Um, if you are watching this, uh, uh, yeah, okay, just checking the chat. Oh, I was going to say, please be encouraged to post questions, and we'll add that too, if possible. Okay. Um, the High Priestess
Mm.
represents intuition, mystery, and the subconscious mind. I love the fact that all the water in the tarot streams from her. Um, the question I have for you is, what was the first divinatory tool that you used?
It had to have been tarot. Yeah, it was tarot. It was definitely tarot.
And at what stage of your development did tarot enter in? Before the acting, before the writing? Well,
Yeah,
obviously before the writing, I would assume.
yeah. I got my first deck when I was 12 years old. And I got it. Yeah, I got it because I thought being a Halloween baby, it was my birthright to read the cards.
Right?
And a school fundraiser was coming up, and we were all going to like do things to raise money. I thought, oh, I'll read tarot cards. I'll make a gypsy fortune telling tent. But as soon as I opened the deck, I was in middle school. The cards spilled out. I didn't know what they meant, and I was completely overwhelmed. Which actually was the impetus for my first book, Tarot Diva, because I didn't ever want anyone to feel overwhelmed when they were excited about something as cool as tarot. Yeah, so it was a rocky road for a while for me in figuring out the cards, and it was in my, I would say, late 20s that tarot and I became very intimate friends. And it
Okay, we
really,
have a. What was your first tarot deck? Ange wants to know.
oh, the Rider Waite Smith.
The
It
gateway
was,
drug.
I mean, it had to be in 1982. So that's pretty much, if you were going to go into a bookstore, I think I went to Walden Books at the
Hmm.
Palmer Park Mall in New Jersey. I think that the Rider Waite Smith, if you were lucky enough to find a tarot deck in a bookstore, in a mass market bookstore, it was probably going to be that deck because there weren't too many out back then.
Wow. Um, yeah, it's interesting that you say school because I've talked about this on my channel before. I started tarot because of a class in high school that we had called Unexplained Phenomena.
Oh,
And
time
that,
life.
yeah, we would have been bros. We would have been it together because I was 15. I come from a family of magic users. But none of them did tarot. So I was like, this is my gig. This is my lane. I'm
You're
gonna do
special.
this. So I went down. My mama bought me a set of tarot cards, and um, I joined the class. And we would just read cards on each other and learn about it and watch scary movies. That
What
was
a
the whole
cool
class,
class.
and then talk about it. Yeah, it was a great class, and I wish there was more school
Like a
electives
preview
like
for your
that.
whole life.
Right.
Right? Is there anything better than tarot and scary movies and then talking about it? No, there
I
isn't.
know. I love my tarot tribe. It's awesome. Now we're gonna go on to the Empress, and here's a loaded question for you because you may have already slightly answered it. At what stage did you fully step into the tarot diva persona, the
Ah,
tarot diva that you are?
that is very easy to answer. Because, and I can tell you specifically when that happened. I had been an actor for the most of the 90s, late 90s. I went to college, then became a stay at home mom. When my daughter went off to kindergarten, my husband's like, well, what's next? What's your next career thing? Like, what are you going to do? And I was like, literally pulling the tarot card, pulling a card a day, going, what's my path? What's my next thing? What am I supposed to do? What can I do for work? And then one day it was like a tower moment. Be a tarot card reader. Because I live here in the middle of New York City. I'm like literally under the Empire State Building. And I was like, this is perfect. I have complete control over my career. I can see private clients during the day and then hire myself out for parties at night. However, this is like early 2000s. Tarot's still kind of a little bit in the shadows. Social media had yet to bring
Mhm.
us all together. And so I thought, I know, I will market myself as a fabulous upscale, like fashion reader. And like so my friend and I, we essentially copied the cover of Madonna's Ray of Light, and it was like this really super glam photo of me with my hair blowing back, Sasha Graham, tarot diva for your next event. And then I wound up working for like Fashion's Night Out, and like I did, so it was a very intentional, let's make tarot as fabulous as I thought it was, because it was a really hidden art form. um yeah. So it was precisely then when I started working as a professional reader.
Diva and says, um, nice place, New York. Um, so yeah, I think that is amazing when you made the decision to own what you already know, to take it. That's alchemy to me, taking the parts of your life that were already there and mixing them together to create the Tarot Diva. And then not only did you do it, you backed the shit up. Uh, your your books, I love them. My two favorites by you are the Tarot Spells, but to be honest, do I have it here? Yes, I do. It's the Darkwood Tarot. I cannot stress this enough. I love this deck. I love this book. I love the way you approach the court cards. It's
Thank
just a really great deck. I think Ramon uses this deck also during readings.
you.
Uh, We're going to move on to our next card, and that is the Emperor, who signifies authority, structure, and leadership. How do you do so many things?
Mm.
How do you manage to stay so structured? You do so much. Oh, and by the way, I made a note of it on this card. The picture on your website where you're outside on a writing desk.
Yes.
I flipped when I saw that. I mean, I'm everybody here. I've been talking about this for weeks now. I am such a fan. When I saw that, I was like, "Ooh, that should be on the cover of an album." That's so
Ah,
cool.
thank you. I art directed that, and my husband
This
was
year,
a photographer. And there was a photographer who his first name was, I don't remember his last name now, but a photographer who had done this really surreal photography had been inspiring me, and I thought I want to emulate that. So I'm like, babe, I want you to shoot me at a desk in the middle of a field in the Catskills where we have a house and my favorite writing place. Yeah. Oh, thank you for appreciating that. Thank you.
yeah, the Magician of Tarot, or the Magic of Tarot book is excellent and
Oh,
says
thank you.
your work is well known and quoted a lot in my circle. uh, yeah, that picture was just phenomenal. Now, oh, the next card up on our path is the Hierophant, who represents tradition, spirituality, and teaching. Um, we all have our community of like-minded individuals, which is our tribe.
Yeah.
How did you first encounter your first tribe?
Oh, great. I love these questions. First of all, speaking of teaching, the way you're structuring the show is amazing. What a wonderful way for people
Thank you.
to dive into each of the majors. Like, chef's kiss to that. I love it. But my first tribe, and they really were and I'm still so close with all of them. When I decided to go pro as a tarot reader, I didn't want to start charging money until I had some sort of I don't know, a backup, a resource of like professional study. And so being in New York, I Googled, is there a tarot school in New York City? And lo and behold, the tarot school, Walden Ruth Ann Amberstone, who also created the Reader Studio Tarot Conference, happened to
Mhm.
be teaching classes about 7 blocks from me. And that they became my classmates, my tarot school people to this day, were all still, it doesn't matter how much time has passed, because we went through years of classes together. And you know how it is when you're reading tarot, you get to know everything about what everybody's going
Yeah.
through. So
Yes.
yeah, they're like college friends or something, and they're all still doing tarot.
That's awesome. I think when we find our tribe, we need to hold on to them. I was unfortunate. My tribe, I lost my tribe during the 90s, during um, the AIDS epidemic. I
Oh,
lost about close to 30 friends in 1 year.
I'm so
Um,
sorry.
and although I am the last one of my circle still going, I will never forget them and the lessons that they brought to me. And I'm confident that sometimes they may slip a message into me. So once a tribe, always a tribe, I say.
Mhm.
Uh, let's see if there's any. Oh, you guys, thank you for the kind words about the show structure. I appreciate that. I was really, honestly, to tell you the truth, surprised nobody had done a structure like this before. It just makes sense to do, you know?
Yeah, it really does. It really does. But that sometimes that I had that same feeling when I was like, oh, somebody must have written a book with a tarot spread for every day of the year. And I couldn't
Yeah.
believe they hadn't. And then I wrote 365 tarot spreads and spells. So
I love being able to break new ground like the Fool.
yes,
I love being able to do that. I love being able to have my own voice.
the best.
The Lovers is our next card, which symbolizes love, relationships, choices, unity. Uh, how have your romantic relationships been shaped by your spirituality? You mentioned your husband. Um, how did you? How did that go?
Well, we slept
Which
together on the
way for you?
first date, so we knew that it was a it was a lover's situation. Wait, like how deep do you want to go? Because
Go for it. Whatever. I want to know how your magical work and tarot work has affected any one-on-one relationships.
So I think that erotic energy and the energy of eroticism and the energy of sex and and energy of love of is the most powerful energizing force. And I feel as if whether you're with someone like your partner or someone new, or whether you're engaged in a creative process that isn't that where you're like turned on all the way, to me it's almost the same thing. It's almost the same energy, and I think that that aligns with the expanding energy of the universe. So as far as my husband goes, and I think I wrote this, I'm not sure if I wrote this in the Darkwood Tarot, but I really think it's true that the Lover's card tells us what is possible, right? That excitement and that beginning fresh excitement. Like I've been with my husband almost 30 years now. You know, we're never going to really look at each other the way we looked at each other that first day that we saw each other across Madison Square Garden and be like, I effed that. Can I swear on
Right. Yes. Okay. Go ahead.
so,
You're on
so
the Bobby Show.
the lover shows you what's possible but not necessarily what's sustainable, right? So
I
of
love that.
course, you know, there's the other side of the excitement of erotic of the energy of erotica and the energy of love and passion, which is what you have to do to sustain it. And that's true of any creative work as well as any sensual sexual relationship. So I think it's important to understand that there's a lot in that. And the lovers, to me, feel like those transcendent moments or that crush energy. Yeah, which I'm
So
married forever, but I'm always crushing. I love to crush.
I've been with my old man for 25 years, and in gay years, that's like four or 500. I'm not sure. Um, it wasn't easy for us. Like you say, we pretty much banged on the first date, and the religion came afterwards. Then it was like, oh, I'm a Christian. Oh, I'm a witch. You know? And we, with the lovers, we made a choice to stay together. We made a choice to follow the path of love. And when I say choice, there have been times when we wanted to throttle each other. Okay, let me explain it this way. People ask me how we've stayed together so long, and I always tell them the same thing. Have you ever woken up in bed next to your partner, looked over at them, and there's a single beam of sunshine coming in and striking their face just right, and you think to yourself, I could kill you in your sleep and nobody would ever fucking know. Um, if you can get past that part, you're golden. Okay. But my husband has been very supportive. I'm assuming yours has also in this way, correct?
Much so, very much.
And
Yeah.
has it been difficult for him supporting the Tarot Diva, the Sasha Graham?
I think sometimes it's a lot for him. I mean, I'm in being completely honest because he's a very
Yes.
traditional, masculine presenting human. And so sometimes, you know, it can be challenging for him, but you know, he's getting better at it. He has no choice. But I think it's funny. I have often had those murderous thoughts. And strangely, he said, I'm like, haven't you ever wanted to kill me when I'm asleep? And didn't you ever want to like smother me or you knew you could? And he's like, why would you think that? And I'm like, well, maybe that's why we're good together because like you, and you know what I mean? He's the yin
Yeah.
to yang.
We balance each other. And when you find somebody who balances you, I say he gives my picture frames, a structure, and I give his picture color. So we balance each other. We work well together. Um, thank you for your honesty there. The next card up is the Chariot, which represents determination, control, and willpower. Has it been difficult moving forward with your chosen path? And how fast did it take off?
Shockingly, you know, in retrospect, it always feels like it happened very quickly. But while you're in it, it doesn't. Like sometimes I'll feel like I'm treading water, or life is like sort of stayed, and then I'll look back at my photos of where I've been in the last 6 months or what I've been doing, and I'm like, no, I was actually kind of really busy. I mean, in retrospect, it's really been full steam ahead, and then sort of like unexpectedly and wonderfully, the movies have come back, and I'm even making movies again, which is so exciting. And that wasn't even something that I sought out. So I will chalk it up to, as far as the chariot goes, I did always do a pretty good job of following what sparkled for me, trusting I always, as especially as a reader, I didn't want to be giving readings if I wasn't following my own advice. So I wanted to be my own best tarot reader first. So with that, taking my own advice that I would see from the cards, I would say it's moved ahead pretty phenomenally. I'm pleased. I'm pleased.
I had a follow-up question to that, but you kind of answered it, so I'm going to let it lie. The next card up we have is the Strength card, which embodies courage, inner strength, and resilience. Now, the Strength card um, has a couple of meanings to me. The obvious one that everybody knows, but also I never viewed the woman closing the lion's mouth as the one showing the strength. I always viewed the lion not ripping her face off as a sign of strength. Okay, that to me is where the true strength was, controlling that violent tendency, those violent feelings. Where do you find your inner strength? What sustains you there?
So I have to say, I go back to, I think I developed my strength, and I still can be in that strength because of what I went through as a kid. I think a lot of us endured trauma, and especially, I mean, I don't want to say Gen X like we're special, but I do kind
But
of
we
feel like
are.
Gen X has a
We are.
it's a different, it was different than like the depression kids and like all of the different generations. But I think particularly in Gen X, um, there was just there were a lot of things that, like, my life as an adult is a cakewalk compared to what I, went through on a daily basis as a kid. And it's that easy. And so I get my sense of strength, like the gift of having rough stuff happen to you is that you
Right.
know early on how strong you are.
Yeah, when you say Gen X, it's true. People don't really, we basically raised ourselves. And because of that, we're not afraid to try new things. Okay, we will try shit other people aren't afraid because we have that mentality of, well, let's see, let's check it out. We can do this. Why not?
What's the worst? What's the worst thing?
Yeah, what's the worst thing? And then we find out. Um, Next up on our list, the Hermit, who symbolizes introspection, wisdom, and solitude. How do you spend your alone time?
I love my alone time. I love my hermit time. I'm like, literally, I love to travel by myself. I love to be alone in my homes and work. My favorite way to work is hermit time. I mean, to me, when I think about the hermit, and this is probably why I enjoy the hermit space so much, I really believe that the hermit are those things that you can only learn. It's the learning that you can only do. It's between you and the universe, right? And
Mhm.
that work is best done when you're away from the conversations of other people, when you're away from distractions, when you're in hopefully a natural setting, or your favorite space to sort of figure things out. Yeah, or even like traveling in a foreign city alone. um, and so, yeah, I enjoy the hell out of my own company. And the older I get, the more I enjoy it. And I guess it's more about just having fun than even
Yeah.
discovering new things. But like, I can just focus on the awesomeness. I don't know, and live in my vibe. Does that
When
make
I
sense?
tell somebody I want to do something or go somewhere that they're not used to, um, and they always ask the question, why? I said, because. Why not? That's my answer.
Yeah, right.
Why
Tonight,
not?
I'm going to the Morgan Library tonight by myself for 2 hours. And I'm like, because I want to be able to focus and pay attention specifically on I don't want to be having like it's not like this is a date for me. It's not a date to like hang out with my friend and do something pretty. Yeah,
Exactly.
I love it.
I love that you are strong and independent in your alone time. Um, this is where we get a little interesting. The wheel represents natural cycles and change of luck, among other things. Um, can you share a significant turning point in your spiritual journey?
Yes. Oh, well, there's two leap to mind. The first one actually is was midwifing my mom through her death. That has so completely transformed how I view life here and life on the other side, and what I want to, what is possible um,
Right.
with the time that I have left. And I think it actually does connect very much to the wheel card in that the energy that I want to access is really, and it sounds so simple, is that energy of being present. And when you look at when you look at the wheel card, everything in that card is motion, right? If that was to come to life, the wheel would be spinning, and the clouds and the figures in the four corners and all of everything. The only place to find that you can be still on the wheel card is in the center, right?
Right
To
in
be
the center.
centered. And so it's and I know the more centered I can be and the more present I can be, the more of an experience I'm going to have of life while I'm here.
I love that. I'm going to be using that about the wheel and being centered. I love that so much. Um, like you, I teach tarot. I come at from a Kabbalah aspect lately. I've been shifting from the numerology into the Kabbalah um, essence of it with the tree of life and why the ones mean one, why twos mean two. I've always been driven by why. Why has always been there. Like when I was young, my grandmother loved to watch horror movies with me. So I credit her for a lot of my viewpoints. When I saw something I didn't understand with magic or anything like that on TV, it would spark conversations. Why? But how? But from where? And that just developed into my questioning self over time. And I'm lucky I'm not afraid to try new things. And it doesn't sound like you're afraid to try new things either. I love that. Our next card up signifies fairness, balance, and truth. It is the Justice card. Balance. The Justice card is one of those cards that asks us if our actions have been in balance. If you could go back and change one thing in your life, what would you change?
I would I would have not been so scared to I was really afraid. I would I'd read you all of my 20s. Is that can I say that? I was so like we're all out of our mind in our 20s, but I was so fear driven and I craved change, but I was so afraid of it and I wasn't able to advocate for myself back then the way that I do now. And I wish I tell 20-year-old me that all the time. But I wish, it would be interesting to see how things would have rolled out differently.
It's interesting you say it like that because our next question, the Hanged Man, symbolizes surrender, perspective, and sacrifice. Looking back, what advice do you wish someone had given you? And looking back now, do you think you would have taken it?
I don't think that there's any advice that anyone would have given me that I would have taken. I think it so much had to do with internally how I didn't trust or I didn't believe or I was wounded in ways so that those affected my decisions. And I
Right.
think actually like a great piece of hanged man advice is to surrender to the discomfort, right? And when we're in our excuse me, when we're young and something terrible happens, whatever, a breakup or, we lose our minds because, oh my God, it doesn't make me feel good or I don't
Yeah.
feel good right now. And the hangman is such a wonderful teacher with like the minute you can learn to hold grief, hold pain, understand that it's a passing thing, that it will transform rather than resisting it. Um, yeah. So I guess I wish the hanged man had sat me down maybe for a conversation when I was 21.
Yeah, when I was coming up with that question, I was thinking of the advice I wish people would have given me, and then I realized I probably wouldn't have taken it had they tried. I would have been busy banging my head in a corner, and and having people around me going, "Yep, okay, you'll see." Uh, Death card represents transformation, endings, and rebirth. How do you approach change and transformation in your life, and what major endings have led to fantastic new beginnings for you?
So hearkening back to my mom, which was it was a recent, she departed the planet very recently. So that's been epic. And death in and of itself, I'm surprised I didn't lose people, and I was fortunate enough not to lose people until I was older, really. And so the death of my dad and the death of my mom was actually, I found it amazing. So so on that level, I don't know, like I love the space around death. I really do. And I'm talking about the space around a death that from a life well lived. I'm not talking,
Yeah.
lots of different kinds of deaths. But so I find that fascinating energetically. I find it fascinating. Um, as far as change, I'm always terrified of change. I've been on the same block since 1988. I've been with the same man 30 years. Like there's a lot of things that I keep. We have one house, same house. Um, so I
So
like,
what I'm hearing is you like change as long as you have a solid base of operation. As
yes,
long, okay. I love that. As long as you're confident in yourself, you can handle change. That's
yeah,
good. I love that. Which brings us to temperance. Temperance embodies balance, moderation, and harmony. I love this card. It is the survivor's card. It's associated with Sagittarius, the wounded warrior. Have you ever wanted to just chuck it all and get a muggle job because things didn't go in your direction?
never.
Good
No,
girl.
no, 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 no. No, no. I mean, no.
That's good. Well, that answers that one. We can move right along. The devil card. No, but honestly, in temperance, the follow-up question of this is who would you say supported you the most
Mm.
in your process to become you?
It was my grandmother. It was my grandmother. She was absolutely freaking fantastic. She was an over the top, elegant, aristocratic, fun woman who would like make a martini, jump in the swimming pool with all her clothes on. You would walk in the room and she was always so happy to see you. She would bring me to the theater in New York City when I was a little kid to see Broadway shows and take me to Sardi's. So she showed me how to enjoy life, and she showed me what it meant to love the people that you are with and love what you do and color and taste and food and travel. So she really opened a worlds to me that I don't think, I think people are doorways for us, so
Hmm.
those people, yeah. So she was a doorway into everything that I aspired to. It was like she somehow knew all the stuff that I wanted. And so I mean, every day I still like move with her and I'm in the city and she's with me. And yeah.
My Grams was not like yours. My grandmother was a Latina badass. She had come from an abusive former marriage, and she was the type of woman to say, "You hit like a bitch," and and she did. She was the first one to teach me how to throw a punch. She was the first one to teach me how to bob and weave. My grandmother did not play. My grandma was about 5'4", okay, and one of the strongest people I've ever met in my life. And I didn't realize how strong she was until I got older.
Mm.
She used to stay. I came from an abusive household, and this little woman used to get up in my dad's face, who was a bodybuilder and a heroin addict, and say, "If you want to get to them, you've got to go through me." She did not back down, and I am grateful for the support she gave me. So when you say grandmother, that's where my heart goes. I understand the bond you feel um, in that special way with those special kind of people.
Which
Yes,
is,
she definitely was.
and that's so funny too. I never have thought about it, but the temperance card in Rider Waite Smith kind of has a could you could perceive her as having like a grandma vibe. Like she's kind of got my grandmother's hair. Now that I'm thinking about it, I've never thought about my grandmother in the context of the temperance card. But I mean, even if you look at the symbolism of that, if we want to look at that as the grandmother matriarchy, it can be the pouring of fluids, could be the pouring of ancestral energy into you, and then that path going up into the mountain and the crown is you kind of what you have to walk to fulfill your ancestors. I don't know.
I guess, yeah,
Hopes.
that's something for thought. That definitely is. When I think of it, the reason I asked about support is because of the Hebrew letter Samek,
Mhm.
which is associated with the temperance. That support that props you up. And my family, my grandma used to always say, just like RuPaul, unless they pay your bills, pay them bitches no mind. Um, she was a badass. I love her and I miss her. The devil card symbolizes temptation, materialism, and control. What was the hardest thing you ever had to break free of? Whether it be a person, a situation, a substance.
The hardest thing that I have ever had to break free of is yeah, within my own mind, within my own psychology, depression. When I didn't know how to, yeah, depression, which for me, depression was the lack of feeling. I wasn't happy, I wasn't sad, I just didn't feel. That was paralyzing in the way that actually it's more paralyzing than the devil card because of course the lovers can free themselves from that chain. The devil seems kind of like the shadow that you can trick, but I think when it comes to chemical imbalances in the mind or hormonal imbalances, that's not psychologically, that it takes something else. So I would say that was the toughest. And then being terrified of my own mind, being terrified of what I might do to myself or others.
Been there, done that. I feel you, sis. Um, yeah, putting ourselves in those situations. It's all illusion. The devil card is illusion to me.
Yeah.
Anything you think you're feeling right now, you may not be feeling. So it's temporary. The Tower card represents upheaval, sudden change, and revelation. Now, most people are afraid of the Tower card. I am too, but not as much because I know that shit happens.
Mhm.
Um, and I know that it's an opportunity for me to grow. How do you deal with upheaval in your life? What is your advice to those handling those tower moments?
So, how do I handle it? I handle upheaval pretty well. I lived in 27 different houses before I was 17 years old. We were moving constantly, so it's not unfamiliar to me, and I get very practical when tower moments happen. What do I advise people to do? I mean, gosh, use it as an opportunity. Do you know? And like it's. I mean, I think it's in every single tarot book, but it's true. Like that in the Rider Waite Smith, when that, the circular crown is bouncing off the cube tower, it's because it never fit to begin with. So tower moments are always opportunities to change the pattern, to fix what's not what's broken. And I find them to be freeing. I find tower moments to be freeing. They can be really scary when they happen. But then you'll be sitting in a different place 6 months. And usually I feel like it's a better place.
What would your advice be to people handling tower moments?
Let it fall apart. Let
Let it
yourself fall
fall
apart.
apart. Exactly. Let it fall so you can rebuild.
There's no
I
resistance. The devil is all about resisting, right? And the tower is all about a free fall. Surrender.
hold on a second. My doggies are going crazy.
They're having a tower moment.
Oh, it's medication. Shoot. Hold on one second, Sasha. I'm going to ask you this question. Um, the star signifies hope and renewal direction. Who was your guiding light? And I'm
Who
going to
is
let you talk while I get the medication that's just been delivered. Who was your guiding light? Who
right
was your
now? Oh, okay. Okay, go do your thing. Who is my guiding light? Hi everybody. Okay, it's just us now. Just kidding. Well, no, it is just us. Who is my guiding light? My guiding light right now, I think, is my daughter, Jack. She's about to graduate from college, and I don't know. It seems kind of cheesy though to say that my daughter is my guiding light. Um, there you are. Good, because I'm struggling. I don't know that I really
well,
have a guiding
the
light right.
direction I wanted to go is who gave you support? Who pushed you and said you can do this when you first started setting out to write your first book, create your first deck? Who said, Sasha, this is awesome. Keep going.
My husband, my husband, very, very supportive with that. He's always been super supportive of my writing, especially. Yeah, it definitely my husband. And yeah,
That's awesome. Mine is the same way. It's surprising because we're so different. But I think because we're so different, he supports me. And just, yo, what's my dog's name? Romeo, Pearl, Minnie, Teensy, Maddie, and then the cats, Cersei and Arya. Yeah, okay.
I thought you were going to say Pearl, Maxime, and X.
um, yeah, having somebody who is there for us to offer encouragement when we're not expecting encouragement goes a long way. So if
Yeah,
you've got people in your lives out there watching who support you in that way, make use of it. All right. They're doing a good thing for you. They want to support you. Don't
yeah,
push them away.
yeah.
Okay. The moon represents illusion, dreams, and the subconscious. Now, here's something I've always wanted to know when I see a Sasha deck or a book. Where do you get your freaking
And
ideas, your inspiration?
so for everything, for every project, almost every project, it's either something I'm obsessed with or a question that I'm trying to figure out. So for the tarot decks, like for my first tarot deck, Los Scarabeo was like, make a deck. And and I was like, well, what would I do? But and at the time I was collecting gothic softcover novellas from the 70s and the 60s with the women running away from haunted houses. I was like, I wasn't reading them, but I was collecting this paperback because I was obsessed with the art. And I thought, oh, the haunted house is a metaphor for the self, and you face your fears, and then you get to unpack yourself like you get to know a haunted house. Boom, there's a deck. That's a deck. Um, the Darkwood Tarot, I was struggling to understand why women don't support other women, why people grow up and become exactly like their parents, and why, like, historically, cultures don't learn. Do you know? It seems like we're always making the same
Yeah.
mistakes over and over. And I felt like especially us tarot readers, because we're constantly diving in with introspection into our own issues and the issues of other people, I wanted to create a deck that would invite people to look at their not so nice side, and kind of hidden away side, and unleash the power that's in there. So I was like, how can I make a deck that will encourage people to look at their shadow without turning them off? Yeah, so it's always like a question or something that I like, a challenge for myself to see if I can do it.
I haven't. I'm going to tell you how the Darkwood Tarot came into my possession, and how the response, how it went. I was in a tarot group in my city, and it was one of the first times I had attended this group. I just needed to reach out and find my tribe when I moved location. I moved to a very small town by Tombstone, Arizona. Um, I was in group and I was using this deck, which is the Heaven and Earth deck. It's one of
Mhm.
my favorites. And one of the gentlemen there, who is now not only a friend but a client as well, him and his family, um, he had the Darkwood Tarot. And I looked at his deck and he was staring at my deck, and we didn't realize each other was staring at the decks. And we broke down and started questioning each other. And I shit you not, we both just got we were in a metaphysical bookstore, so we went and bought the decks. I bought the deck. His wife bought him the deck. She came out and says, "Damn you, Bobby." Um, but yeah, it spoke to me. It gripped me, and very few decks do that to me. Chris Butler's Healing Light Tarot did that to me. It's a staple. I'll
Mm.
always keep it near me. The Heaven and Earth deck. This is basically where I sing the praises of Miss Sasha Graham, because these decks are lovely. I love your work. The Haunted House um has some sexy ass cards in it, and it has some cards that scare me, like the Four of Swords.
Mhm.
Um, I don't like that card because it plays on a childhood fear of mine. For those who haven't got this deck yet, um, the Four of Swords shows somebody in bed with shadow arms coming up under the bed. That's always been a fear of mine. That and zombies. I can't get past those two. I just
Oh,
can't.
zombies are on the judgment card in the Haunted House Tarot. I got it. I got it
Yeah.
all here.
Yeah, you got them all in there. Demons, angels, you got the whole thing. Um, the Sun card embodies joy, success, and vitality. Now, what brings you joy, and how do you celebrate your successes?
Oh, thanks. That's a great question. What brings me joy is when I'm able to really birth an idea into fruition. I have a lot of ideas, but very few of them become an actual book or an actual deck so when I'm actually able to complete and it's like out in the world, it gives me immense joy because I know how excited I am when I buy a book or buy a deck or I get my hands on something that I'm so excited to open up. So that to me, that brings me so much joy. And wait, what was the other part of the question?
Uh, how do you celebrate your successes?
Oh, you know, it's funny because I feel over the moon when I finish a manuscript or when I finish a movie when we're all done, and then like I want to celebrate, and I do, but then it's like on to the next. Like what's the next? So I guess I celebrate by starting a new project.
That's awesome. That is awesome. You're already in motion for the next phase. I love that. So, everybody, I'm watching the comments. Karen says, "Oh yes, Bobby Forrest George's wife slept under my covers as a kid." I agree, and to this day, last night, for instance, I was falling asleep. I had my hand hanging off the edge of the bed, and I was like, "Nope," it covered it up. I no matter that I'm a witch, a practitioner, a tarot card reader, that it's still I can't get past that one fear as a kid. Uh,
there's a great short story. I think it's free on Amazon Prime. There's like an Amazon Prime series of free short stories with like the awesome horror writers. Grady Hendrix wrote this short story called Ankle Snatcher. And it's
no, I'm not going to read it. No, no. What the hell is wrong with you, bitch? No, I'm not going to do it. It's not happening, okay?
it's really scary.
You don't understand. Okay, I have a dread fear of zombies as well. I once was at a party, my own party, I should mention. It was upstairs. We didn't have lights coming up the stairs or anything. And I was outside smoking a cigarette back when I used to smoke. And I saw some people coming up the stairs to the party, and they were dressed as zombies. And they weren't just dressed as zombies, they were in character as zombies. And I was already a little drunk by that time and looked at them and freaked the fuck out and jumped over the side at the railing. Yeah, I jumped onto the street. I don't like zombies because in zombie movies you can't win. There's no winning. The zombies devastate,
I have a
and that
great
scares me.
I did a movie back in the 90s, The Vicious Suite, and ahead of its time, it had a sick zombie sequence in. We shot it my first day on set. It was super fun. Yeah, I kind of dig zombies for like
I'm
the
not gonna lie. I've always wanted to be in a zombie movie, but I can't. I do. They give me nightmares. I just. Who are they talking about? Grady Hendrix. Oh, they're going off about Grady Hendrix.
he's a bomb.
Uh,
He's the bomb. He's the
Karen
best.
says she just read
He
her book.
actually, I did a Ghost Stories by the Fire with him
Mhm.
at the Virginia Festival of the Book with Grady Hendrix, Stephen Graham Jones, and Paul Tremblay last year. It was awesome. Those guys are phenomenal. They're as awesome as people. They're amazing writers, but they're also like amazing humans.
Since we're still on the sun card, I do have one more question on this. I know you travel in certain tarot circles that, well, when I say it like that, you are respected. I mean, full on. When you first were approached to do something like the UK Tarot Conference or be involved in a major thing, the very first time, how did that make you feel? What was going through your head?
Oh my God. Well, yeah, that would have been my first main stage presentation at the Reader's Studio in New York, which actually Kim Arnold was there from the UK Tarot Conference and invited me that next year to speak at her conference. It was terrifying, terrifying, terrifying. Not only because you're in a room with like Mary Greer and Rachel Pollack and like
Mhm.
everybody who's anybody is in the room with you, but nobody teaches you. There's no school that teaches that I'm aware of that teaches you how to give a 3-hour masterclass. So I'm like watching TED Talks, and like I had like a theater guy that I hired who helped me kind of, this is what you want to do and this is how you want to structure it. But like I said at the beginning of when we began, like I wasn't comfortable just talking off the cuff. It was horrifying. And I practiced, and I was giving that class at my kitchen table and practicing for months before going. Now I'll get up and blah, 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 blah. But back then it was, yeah, it was, I never take it for granted,
So
especially
it's funny you say that. I'm sorry, especially what?
no, like when I look into the audience and someone like Ashleen Matthews is sitting there, someone who's really inspired me. Do you know? Wow.
That what I was going to say before I so rudely cut you off was that Chris said the same thing to me that his first time up at the tarot conference, he felt nauseous, sick to his stomach, where he had to go hide in the bathroom for a little bit to regain himself. And while he was in there, somebody else who was speaking was in there throwing up because they were so nervous. And he was saying that they struck up a conversation with a lot of people there, and everybody said the same thing. They were so nervous about speaking. Um,
The one thing I will say, and this is great, I think for everybody listening as well, is whenever you're, whether it's a like a tarot, whenever you're put on the spot and you have to speak or perform or orate before a group of people, whatever, the nerves in your belly, what you're really doing is gathering energy, and you're gathering the energy that you're about to get up on the stage and share with the room. That's a real thing. I still feel I'm still nervous before I go in front of any group of people. And I think I would, and so I'm comfortable with the discomfort of that, knowing that's my
Ah,
body building energy in kind of my belly and, my solar plexus so that I can then share it with the room. Yeah. So that's what that is.
speaking of building energy, the Strength card in the Darkwood Tarot, one of my favorite cards. The way that she's raising the Kundalini energy up is just beautiful. It's represented, you guys, by a serpent, and oh my gosh, gorgeous deck. I cannot sing its praises enough. Let me see real quick. And says being nervous is a good thing. It means you care about what you're about to present.
Yep.
I fully agree with that.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the judgment card. And the judgment card says it's time to reflect on our lives. If they were creating a Sasha Graham movie about your life and experiences, what would it be called?
Oh, the incredible true story of the Halloween kid. I don't know.
um,
It would be a fun movie, though. It would be like super a lot of magical realism, very quirky, strange. It'd probably skip genres a lot. It would be like wacky. Let's do it. Let's make it.
I will tell you this. Um, I was a hairstylist for a lot of years, so long hair does it for me. That was the reason I got into it.
Mm.
Jacqueline Smith from Charlie's Angels, she was the shit for
Oh.
me. I mean, no woman. I mean, my mother looked like Jacqueline Smith, so to me, that was the ultimate beauty. All right, and you totally give off the Jacqueline Smith vibes. So I could see you totally kicking
I
ass in church.
know.
Um, oh yeah, great question, Aspasia. Who would you want to play you?
Oh gosh. I just saw Beetlejuice too with the what's her name? The Wednesday Adams. She's like young and hot and
Yeah,
spooky.
yeah.
What's her
Uh,
name?
somebody, Maru, you're in the crowd. Who played Wednesday Adams?
What is her
Oh,
name?
Aspasia says you might have Jessica Lange. Ooh.
Oh,
Oh,
Jessica.
Jessica Lange should play you even. Um,
Would love that.
I totally see somebody that has that Jacqueline Smith vibe going, with the auburn hair. Just that
Yeah.
does it for me.
Give me an 80s.
Uh, so the judgment card also is a call to action. When did you accept that you were, this is it? This is my road. This is my call to action.
Um, I don't think I accepted it. I mean, I just think I knew Jenny Ortega. Thank you.
Jenny Ortega.
I mean, that seems like kind of a basic, but I don't know. It was the first thing that leapt to mind. I, my road is my road. I never accepted it. I felt, I, I, because I think because of the way the tarot universe world was when I entered it, I knew there was a lot that I wanted to say. And so I didn't question. I loved tarot. I loved reading for people. I love magic. And so I never thought, is this not for me? So it just like I just, you know, I hopped
That's
in.
awesome.
Yeah.
So the doubt that a lot of people go through, on whether this is their path, you didn't really feel. I love
No.
how you were able to bring the different parts of your development together to create something beautiful, fantastic. Um,
It's just me figuring it all out as I go along, all of it, really.
yeah, I think I know I have problems sometimes with people being afraid to approach me for one reason or another. Um, Young readers, they hear that I've been doing it 40 years and they think, oh my God, he's the top of the shit. It doesn't, yeah, I'm good, but I'm nobody special. Don't put me on that kind of pedestal. It's very uncomfortable. When did you, how do I phrase this question? You have to have fans. I'm a huge fan. You have to run into idiots like me a lot of the time. Um, how is that? Knowing that, how do you carry that? Do you consider it an honor?
Yeah.
Do you carry it with trepidation?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for asking this question. And I'm going to answer it as honestly and transparently as I can, because it's been an interesting journey. Because for a long time I did not know how to react when people would come up and share their response to like a book or a deck. And I've realized somewhere in the last, I don't know, 5 to 10 years, that that was about me being able to feel safe accepting other people's attention and appreciation. And that, and something I knew from the beginning is that if I could accept that energy and then give it back to them, it not then they felt good. And I remember watching Anne Rice do this. I went to an Anne Rice signing for one of her wolf books. And she sat there like high priestess. So I'm so grateful because I know how exciting it is, because for me, like, to meet people who've touched you, or meet people who, a tarot deck, they become like your friends.
Yeah.
A book that you love, or a book that sparks your imagination, and suddenly you're like, yes, I've never been able, that is an extraordinary thing. So I am humbled by it, and I am grateful for it, and I am happy for them that they were able to open themselves up a bit wider vis-a-vis something that I've done. It's really about them. It's not about me. It's about the experience that they've had. And so I'm just really grateful. And it helps say, okay, you're doing the right thing. And then like the next project has to be even better. you know, does that,
You have been a remarkable voice in the tarot community. Um, I honestly have been guided by you in a lot of things throughout, uh, because of your books, your decks. You never stop learning with tarot. And every time I pick up a new deck, I learn something new about myself and about tarot. And that's why the Darkwood Tarot is so special to me, because it made me look at it in a new arena with new glasses on. Same shit, different day type thing. I was amazed to see the way you structured the deck and the way you write about it.
thank you.
Beautiful. I give
Thank
you your set kiss back. Now, the next card we have is the world. The world represents completion, achievement, and fulfillment. Um, I have two questions here. One, this card is ruled by Saturn. What throughout your career has been restricting for you?
My own limiting self beliefs, my own limiting self
Ah,
beliefs.
best answer ever. I
Yeah.
love that. Okay.
Yeah.
And the final question really is, what's next for the Tarot Diva?
Ooh, okay. Well, I have some very exciting things coming up. I have a
Okay.
movie coming out in 2025. I can't say what it is yet, but it's amazing, with an amazing director's writers. So I'm very excited when that comes out. I'm really excited to share that with the world. Um, uh, I have Abigail Larson, the artist from
The
Darkwood.
artist.
She and I are working on a vampire deck right now, Vampire Tarot, which is unbelievable. That's going to be coming out from Llewellyn in 2026. I'm going to be teaching. I lead workshops at Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Before I get to the teaching bit, I have a book called An Artist's Guide to Tarot, which is coming out this next year, 2025. And I'm just completing a Gothic Oracle deck for US Games. It's either called the Dark Gothic or the Gothic Glamour Oracle or the Bat and Bone Oracle. We haven't figured out the title yet. So it'll be my first Oracle deck. No, the new movie. Well, to my knowledge, none
You saw that.
my scenes have ankle grabbers, but I can't speak for the scenes I wasn't in. So there's Hell and Mayhem is raised in it. That's so funny. It's with such an incredible group of filmmakers. They're just amazing. So yeah, and then I teach and I do workshops and stuff at Kirpalo. So if anybody's interested in merging tarot and yoga, I'm at Kirpalo for a 3-day workshop at the end of February, and then I do a 5-day version of that in July, and then I'm also going to be at the Baycon Speculative Fiction Conference. And I don't know, it's all on my website. Go to sashagraham.com. It's boring when I list it now.
That website, go to it, because the cover picture on that, I stared at it for a little while. I was like, ooh, that should be a tarot card. That's a great picture.
Thank you. Field behind my house. And that's it's my daughter's table that I'm at.
Sasha, I have had such a great time talking with you today. I am going to ask one last time if there's anybody that has a question for Sasha before we end this session. If you do, post it now. Sasha, no, you answered that one too. No, I had nothing. I'm done.
I got nothing.
I got nothing. Yeah, everybody's like, new decks, yay!
Yay! So I have a question for you. What are you most looking forward to in the new year?
Well, my dear, I am coming out with my own website for teaching tarot. That's going to be released. Some of my friends have already seen the initial mock-ups of it. We're just waiting to optimize it for phone. Right now it's on computer.
Oh, wait.
Oh, we do have a question.
For Witch's Garden.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for asking that question about Witch's Garden. So when I finished doing the Darkwood Tarot, my first question was, well, what would she do? What does the Shadow Witch do once she's left the Darkwood? What would she do with all of this knowledge that she had accrued? And I thought, oh, she would bring this kind of dead landscape back to life, turn it into a garden, and become kind of a teacher for other witches and create a safe space for people to come and find their power. And so that is Tarot of the Witch's Garden. So it's kind of the sunny side to the Darkwood Tarot, which is, of course, the dark side. So
I like the dark side.
And somebody asked if I'm familiar with Buddhist way. Of course. I've actually, when I was writing Tarot Diva, I took a class in person with Julia Cameron. Yes, I love her. She's brilliant. And I think she's affected everybody's artistic process. I can't think of anyone who hasn't done morning pages at some point.
I think that you have given so much to the tarot community. You've provided new ways of looking at tarot. You've provided guidance with your books. You've shown what's possible. I truly and fully think you are an amazing person. Oh, and Aspasia says she goes to the garden and blooms. Okay.
Love it.
And everyone's agreeing with me. You have Sasha. Brava.
Thank you.
I don't have any other questions for you. In answer to your question about me, yeah, I'm releasing the website. I'm starting my Oracle deck. I've already got. I'll tell you backstage. I can't announce it yet.
Okay.
Um, but it has to do with the deck artist, and I'm very excited about it. Um, but yeah, so thank you everybody for watching us today. Sasha Graham, her information is in the website. Please check out the Tarot Diva. And if you want to drift off to sleep with odd thoughts, please check out the Fireside Ghost Story Chats. They're so cool. I put it on and just listen while I work around the house.
Oh, my
Um,
podcast. Yeah, Ghost Stories by the Fire. Yeah.
yeah, Ghost Stories by the Fire will. It's cool. I was watching Laura Gonzalez on your show
Hmm.
last night, and some of the things she was saying, I was like, that yeah, that happened to me too. That was uh yeah, but we're gonna end it now, you guys. Please stick around backstage, Sasha, and we'll talk. And everybody, thank you, and I'll see you on the next episode of Behind the Cards. Mwah.
Goodbye.
Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true. You're a pal and a confidant.
Ah.
Okay, there we are.